All right. I'm so sorry about that, everybody. We were a little late to the stream. We had some issues getting it up and running. Typically, we have Angela with us, but he is unfortunately in Hawaii. So,
Unfortunately.
unfortunately, he's in Hawaii. So we don't have Angela to help us out today. But we figured it out. I know it was a bit of a hassle to go between two links. So thank you to all of us, to all of you who are with us. And I guess we'll do some introductions to start off. I'm Alec. I'm going to be the host today. I'm an interactive media specialist here at NETGEAR. So I do a lot of, graphic design and photography for web and social media. And with me, I have Ben, Darren, and Michael. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves? Ben, you can start.
Yeah, I'm then I have pro gaming experience, brand experience manager, and welcome to our JV stream for the day. And I'm here to answer all questions. I'm just going to start out. I don't have any updates on Duma 3.0 for the 500 or the 700. I'll pass it over to Darren.
I'm Darren. I'm a technical support specialist with NETGEAR and also a community moderator. I cover most of our home networking products and technical support for them. On to Michael.
Okay. Hey, everyone. I'm Michael, Technical Marketing Manager. I handle a lot of the online reviews as well as trade shows and a lot of beta testing on our products. So I get a lot of hands-on experience with it. And I'm here to help you out with any questions you got.
Cool. So that's everyone. And yeah, I mean, because we were, kind of late to start the show and we kind of had to jump around with links, we do expect it to be a lighter show. So to all those who are in the chat, thank you for joining us, and we're happy to ask to answer any questions you have. Let's see. We say Kevin says Darren and Michael, you're not in the correct positions. Uh-oh.
I'm in the correct position. I'm sitting down.
Yeah, it looks like they're in the correct position
think
from where I'm at.
They look all right. Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, in any case, because we don't have too many questions today, we do, we might need to fill in, some content. So, one big topic that is, pretty hot right now is the release of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. And we do have one person with us who did manage to acquire both systems. Mr. Darren was able to get both systems.
I do have both systems in my house. My roommate bought one and I bought the other. The PlayStation demo is really cool for showing off what the controller can do that you get when you buy it. It's pretty crazy the amount of rumble features they put into that new controller.
I'm going to say that I think PlayStation actually took a stock of what happened during their last round and really made some big changes. Wi-Fi 6, a better controller. Probably should have upped a little bit more on the graphics, but it still looks fantastic. You've compared both of them. What do you think?
I haven't gotten the Xbox. It's coming today, but I'm not, from what I've seen, I'm not expecting anything different from the other Xbox other than just better graphics and frame rate.
Yeah.
But the PlayStation, the size and the looks of it are eye-catching and huge. So they really wanted you to look at that when you come into someone's house to take like, oh, that guy has a PS5, like compared to the Xbox.
The design is really, it's pretty. It's very abstract. The Xbox, I feel like they played it a little more conservative, a little safer. It's just a box. But the PS5, it's cool looking. I mean, I personally am a fan of the design. I know we did make a joke on our Twitter that it looks just like an Orbi.
It does,
which is it's kind of funny.
It would fit in if you had an Orbi. I think the Xbox Series X looks like a HEPA filter, to be quite honest. And yep. It's just going to be over there, just quietly cleaning the room.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I do think it's a step. It's weird. I feel like the PlayStation was like, hey, what did Xbox do on the 360? Let's do that, but put it in the Photoshop. Can you, I don't know, free transform it? Yeah, stretch it out. Okay, there you go. Well, Xbox was like, let's go more boxy.
Right.
Like the Xbox One X like is a box. They're like, how about, how much time do you want me to put towards designing this this out this case? I don't know, 10 minutes. Great, I got a box with some
Yeah, it's
fans out.
they definitely took two different approaches. I kind of like them both in their own regard. Like I think the Xbox is just like very minimal. It's just gonna, you know, it's very simple, which is could look
Yeah,
cool in certain media centers. And then the PS5, I feel like you can't put the PS5 like you can't really hide it. It's like not supposed to be hidden, like you said, Darren. It's like it's huge and it's lavish. So like it's supposed to be out, whereas the Xbox it kind of just meshes a little more. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean it's
I
I'm interested in hearing what your experience is with the two of them once you've used both, Darren.
Um, just from the PlayStation controller, I feel like the controller is bigger for bigger people's hands compared to the old one. It feels nicer, but my roommate, she has small hands and she doesn't like the new controller. She likes the old PlayStation 4 controllers. And I would say the D-pad is kind of worse on the new one compared to the old ones, but everything, all the other buttons are nicer.
yeah.
Can you
Totally.
use
Yeah,
the
that
old
was always
controller on the new one?
PlayStation, I think they said only if you're playing PS4 games will a PS4 controller work
Okay.
on the PS5, where Xbox, all the old Xbox One controllers will work with
Yep.
anything on the new Xbox Series X.
Yeah, I thought that the last generation Xbox controller was a really great controller, especially the Elite.
Ah, question.
We did get a
Oh,
question. There we go. We do have people coming in. We might go over a little bit just because we started so late, if everybody is able to on the call. Question from Adrian. I have an RX 120, which is 12 streams, looking for an extender, but all the Wi-Fi 6 extenders I see on your site are only 8 stream. Will that make a difference in terms of bandwidth and speed? Um,
this is a Michael
this is a
question.
Michael question, although my first guess would be yes and no.
That's
Yes,
actually a good answer.
technically it does, but no, because you're not
Yeah,
going to tell a difference.
exactly. At this point in
Yep.
time, you're definitely not going to be able to use up the 6 streams. So you're not going to feel any difference between the two of them. But if we had devices that were putting out even faster speeds than we have now, you might notice it. But at this point in time, with the technology that's out there, you're not going to notice a difference.
Totally. Yeah. Speaking of Wi-Fi 6, and we were just talking about the new consoles. They both have Wi-Fi 6, I believe. Is that correct? I know the PS5 does.
The consoles? PS5 does. Xbox is AC, which is I
Wow.
think
Wow.
I think it's a terrible choice.
That's a
I'm
really
pretty sure
bad choice. I think especially, with how mainstream Wi-Fi 6 is becoming, that is quite bad. I mean, you look at Apple; they've been pushing Wi-Fi 6 since the iPhone 11, big. And yeah, Microsoft didn't put it on their new console. It's not too
Yeah,
good.
I think it's a oversight.
That's a
But it
big.
also gives them the ability to put out the Xbox X Series X, One X, Pro X,
The cheap one.
with Wi-Fi 6.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like,
I see what you're saying. Like in the future.
yeah, in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I guess kind of lame. Um,
I mean, I'd hardwire all my consoles and gaming equipment, so
I
I
do
don't
too.
really
yeah,
care about
we always suggest
Wi-Fi on
that
this.
regardless of whether or not you have Wi-Fi 6, it's always best to hardwire. Um,
Yeah, it is 802.11 AC.
Yep.
There it is. Top speed of 6.9 gigabits per second. Your PlayStation 5 is 9.6. So
But are you really actually going to need more than 6?
I don't actually think you're going to notice.
If you're going to have to push that much data out of your console, there's something wrong with the way the game is designed.
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Yeah, so
they're just waiting for 6E. Somebody said in the chat.
maybe.
Hey, great question, Kendall. When are we getting that new XR500 beta? I have no new updates to report at this time. The team's still trugging away at trying to get all these things stitched up before the holidays. So, and the thing is you think that we're a giant company, but really when it comes to this particular product, we really have a small team. So across the 1000, the 700, the 500, and 300, we've got a small, you can probably count them on two hands of engineers that are working on it. So so they're trying to keep all of those things up. By the time it shows up, the 1000 will be obsolete. Oh,
Not true.
you're
Don't
still
you
waiting.
worry. I think this is in addressing this question. I think the implication is Wi-Fi 6E, and I do want to reassure our audience. Anybody who feels like, oh no, I just bought a Wi-Fi 6 router, I should have waited for a 6E. It really is not a significant difference in performance. I'm sure Michael has a better understanding than I do, but my understanding is that it's very minor, almost like a tweak, kind of.
Well, figure you're working at 6 gigahertz instead of 5. So you're going up 1 gigahertz in speed, which means on the 6E channel band, you will get, theoretically faster speed. But you're going to start running into more limitations, like with 5 gigahertz having, more issues going through solid objects like walls as opposed to the 2.4. When you go up to the 6E, you're going to notice that that's having a harder time going through walls more than even the 5. So one of the limitations that I saw quoted on it was that you'll probably have problems using 6E outside the house. So like if you're out in your yard with the number of walls in your home, you probably won't be using a 6E connection. You'll probably be using the 6 connection or 5.
Hold on,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
still here.
Oh yeah.
That's something to think about. But yeah, you're not going to really notice the difference. The 1000 is definitely not going to be obsolete by Christmas. But I will say this.
I still haven't mounted mine on the wall. See, it's right there.
Oh,
it's still sitting there.
There's my weekend project.
Yeah.
And because I haven't mounted mine on the wall yet, which I probably should. And what I did mount on the wall was my sound bar.
Oh, nice.
And that's been languishing for 6 months, sitting on the desk.
Yes.
The TV, and finally got around to that.
It's one more project, and they all stack up.
They do. I think that the pairing. What I want to see, Darren, is you don't have a 1000 test with, do you?
No, I have 700.
Well, we should probably rectify that, because I want to see how that PlayStation Wi-Fi 6, how it works with the 1000.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, to test it between wired and wireless.
Yeah.
I think you might actually get faster speeds wireless.
Yeah, depending on where you are in the home. If you're in the same room, you probably would get faster speeds.
That's what I'm thinking.
It's kind of funny to think that, for so long on this show, the joke has been the PS4 has horrible Wi-Fi. And now
I know.
the PS5 has Wi-Fi 6 and the Xbox does not. So, times are changing. And it's exciting that system has Wi-Fi 6. And yeah, we should totally, we should test it.
Yeah,
I'm sure the audience would appreciate the knowledge.
Yeah, I got accused of being, more of a Xbox fanboy than PlayStation, but I have to say, I've switched a couple times between the consoles. That last generation, I am so glad I missed the 4. The 3 was pretty solid. I liked the 3.
Well, the 3 updated every day, though. That was the problem. You turned on, it's like, update takes 10 years.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yeah, Tiptoe Turtle just said that they had the Xbox Series X and PS5 in their cart and they didn't get it.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like, I've been talking to some of my friends about it. Like, I like sneakers a lot, so I'm always trying to get sneakers, and those are always kind of hard to get. And it's like getting an Xbox is like buying sneakers. Like you got to be quick,
Yep.
and you
Oh,
have
it's
to have
worse.
like notifications, and you have to, you have to cover all your bases. It's the same way with a lot of the NVIDIA graphics cards too.
Yep.
Like
Oh yeah, their newest card that came out. I mean, that was off the shelves even before it touched the shelves.
yeah, no
Yeah,
joke.
and I had an Xbox X and a PlayStation 5 in cart while I was making the transaction. It sold out both times.
Yeah.
Of course, part of that is because
Super
of
painful.
COVID. Getting parts
Yeah.
for making these things is really hard, and all of the manufacturers are competing with the other manufacturers for the generic parts that go into a lot of different pieces of hardware. And what's really going to kill getting a lot of these is the new iPhone, because I did read that Apple is putting huge amounts of money in buying up a lot of the air freight to get iPhones here, in time for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So that's going to eat up on all of that air freight that all the other companies would be using.
That's rough because I have no interest in getting a new iPhone.
Yep. Me, same here, but they're going to be taking the lion's share of all the shipments coming over.
I bought one. What was I gonna say?
I have COVID now. Oh, Tiptoe Turtle, you have COVID? Oh my
Well,
god.
hopefully you're okay.
Oh, no.
Hopefully you are on the mend. I
Was the iPhone upgrade worth it, Alec? I mean, I haven't seen any massive jump in phone technology that really matters.
I really wanted them to shrink the notch, but they didn't. Because I used to be like all Android up until like a couple years ago. And like the Samsung with like the punch out is so much nicer. Because like the screen goes all the way to the top. But I like the 220 or 120 hertz screen. Definitely, I can tell a difference. It's quicker, and then it has OLED now, which is nice. But and I went from the 10, so it's got more cameras now, which is pretty cool. But it was a little underwhelming, to be honest. But
yeah,
it is
I'm
what it
still
is.
on the 8. I haven't
That'd be a good upgrade if you went from the 8 to the 12.
It would, but there's nothing like it, I'm at the point where it's like, well, does it camera better? Or does it phone better? Does it text better?
I'd say the
Because
camera is
I
probably the
don't play
big thing
games.
there.
Yeah, I don't play games anymore on my phone, which is really weird, considering that I spent a good portion of my career designing games for the phone. I just I hit the wall with mobile gaming.
Yeah,
So
I don't really play games on it either.
it just like it does its basics functions that I need it to do, and so I'm not at a point where I want to upgrade to $1,000 phone.
What was I about to ask? I was gonna make a point. I had something to say. Oh yeah. A lot of for some of you that might notice, we were talking about stock issues and computing for generic parts. We face this too as a company. You might notice if you browse the NETGEAR store, a lot of our stuff is out of stock too. So it's really a global issue, not just for consoles, but even us. That there are generic parts in our routers, chips, circuit boards, all that kind of stuff. We're affected as
Yeah,
well. So
it's a little rough. It's a little rough right now, but yeah, I mean it's hard to get stuff out. It's hard to keep stuff in stock, and then as this pandemic keeps going, then you've also got to think about the raw um, components that make up these electronic components. So as long as I think that whole pipeline has been slowed down as well, because you don't have people out there actually digging up the alloys out of the ground as well.
totally. One question we got, kind of about just generic tech, is from Adrian. Any thoughts on the new Apple M1 chip? I don't know if any of you guys watched the keynote, but I enjoy them. I think they're very well done. I also think it's just a good standard for us to learn about how we can do videos, because they do a really good job. But I think there's so much conversation around it and how good it is that they're breaking away from Intel, making their own chip. Obviously, cost savings is going to be massive for them, producing their own chip in-house, not paying a premium to another company. Um, but it's all talk until it comes out. You don't know if it's going to actually perform that well. You got to give credit to Intel. They've been in this game for a while. Granted, they're kind of falling behind. Um, can Apple match that performance in their chip? Sounds like it, but you can't really say until it comes out. So I would
Yeah.
cautiously be excited.
Apparently, the M1 chip in Air is outperforming a 16-inch MacBook, which is pretty amazing.
That's reassuring. Definitely, I'm curious to see when it comes out if it's all it's chopped up to be, because there's been a lot of talk, and if they live up to it, it's gonna be great.
Pika Pika Gaming has a question with the Duma OS. Will it come out on the other routers? Just regular Nighthawk? No, right now it's exclusively for Nighthawk Pro Gaming routers.
And as I've said before, that's one of the things, the reason why it's on the Pro Gaming is it makes that line. That is the line. That. So if you go and put it on the rest of the routers, then you don't have a Pro Gaming line anymore. You just have all Nighthawk routers or gaming routers.
Right. And
you can game on a Nighthawk router. It's just
you can. It just doesn't have the same. There's that's what separates it is the Doom OS. It really is, and the feature set there.
Yep.
Totally.
Wow. Cool. We got a lively group today, by the way. And I just want to say thanks for everybody that's joined us over here as opposed to over there earlier. We had some technical, it really shows how much Angelo does for this program, because all hell breaks loose when he's not around. Not to say that, Alec, you don't do a great job. You do.
We got where we needed to be. It just took it wasn't pretty.
It just took us. we had to figure out. We had to reverse engineer how we got.
Totally. Let's see. Tip Turtle says, "I'm excited to try out the Doom OS." This is the individual who bought the XR1000. It's a great router. I personally don't have one, and I'm looking forward to getting my hands on one soon.
I'm loving it. I've had no I have, when we launched the 500, I had, that first firmware had a couple of wonkinesses to it, and I had a couple of issues. But with the 1000, I have had zero issues. I haven't had to reset it once so far.
Yep,
the only issue I've had is Comcast. Comcast decided, hey, we're going to randomly not have internet for 20 minutes.
You noticed that too. Yeah, I've been noticing it, not for that amount of time, but I've been noticing these little blips where I'll see through my 1000 that my VPN to work has dropped offline. Yeah. And the first thing I think is it the 1000? But then I go over to my R9000, which is actually the main router that I have right now, and I check the computer connected to that. And sure enough, yeah, it was a drop there. So Comcast is for some reason having these weird little blips and dropouts.
Yeah, there's been some weirdness, especially in the last week. I've had a couple of dropouts for about 20 minutes, and it's not been on the router side and it's not been on the modem side. It's just it all of a sudden, like, internet gone.
I had a much larger blip a couple weeks back. I think I told Ben about it, but they're upgrading to fiber on my street, and so they knocked out my internet. And they said, it'll only be for like 8 hours, and then we'll have it back up. So I planned to go somewhere that had Wi-Fi and worked from there. And then it was out for 4 days. 4 days.
Oh.
No Wi-Fi for 4 days. And I called Comcast and I was like, what's up? Where's my Wi-Fi? I can't work. And I live with 4 people and none of us could work. So
Did you talk to a retention specialist?
Yeah, I got
or get any sort of resolution.
$10.
God,
that's better than nothing. But I was a little disappointed.
Yeah, that's terrible.
But yeah, I
God,
mean, you know, at
that's
least I was able to have
that's rough.
confidence that it wasn't my router. I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
it's not my router. It's like that's definitely fine. And then I have the Xfinity app, and it shows you like, oh, there is an outage right now.
Yep.
That's why your internet's gone.
Unfortunately, up where I live now, because of everything that's happened with PG&E, and they don't want any fires, whenever PG&E turns off the power because of really high winds, they Comcast also gets turned off.
Oh no.
So even though we have a generator to get some power to our TV and other things, we don't have internet because Comcast goes down at the same time because they have to use the PG&E lines.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
That's
we were out
annoying.
for 2 days without power from PG&E, which also meant 2 days with Comcast. So we were running the entire house off of one M1 mobile hotspot.
Wow.
Well, you
Let's
know,
just say there was not a lot of online gaming going on during that time.
at least
Probably
it
not.
has
Probably
that,
not a
yeah.
lot of. But yeah, you still can. I mean, my brother attempts at gaming off of his M1.
Well,
We
it,
actually
it,
a
yeah,
while
it really
back.
depends on where you're at. Like
Yeah.
up here with the M1 and I test, and this is that one's on AT&T. I get about maybe 5 to 7 megabits
Oh, wow.
down. But the exact same M1, when we were evacuated and I had to stay in San Jose for a while, I was getting 25 to 30. So it just depends on where you're at.
Yeah, that's true. I try to play him in Tekken, and I can't play him in Tekken. If we're in the lobby with more than 2 people, it won't allow us to connect, which means an automatic win for me. So I'm actually not too bad on that.
We did have a follower on
Question
NPG
here.
who used an M1. He was a trucker and used an M1 to do mobile gaming. Kind of fun.
Yeah.
But
As long as you at least get a
And then
halfway decent
and with the
signal.
new 5G, that you should be able to get some decent speeds out of
Totally. Okay, question from Pika Pika Gaming. GUI and router admin page on the Nighthawk router is too buggy and too slow. Could be a result of, you know, that is run by your router. Your computer isn't actually running that GUI. So, you know, your router might be it could be one of the lower end routers. It could be getting old. What I would suggest trying is try using the mobile app. Tends to work better. We definitely put a lot more effort in upkeeping that these days. So give that a shot. Should serve you pretty well for pretty much everything you need. If you want to really like dig into the settings, you know, obviously you're gonna want to use your computer, and because there's more flexibility on that app on the computer, but on your phone you can do pretty much everything you need. So give that a
Most of the
shot.
basic day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, basic
that you
stuff.
have to do. If you're looking for the more advanced stuff, like if you're trying to go in and do port forwarding, things like that, you wouldn't want to try to do that on your phone anyway. So you want to log in with your PC. But the app handles most of the stuff you need to do.
Totally.
But with the GUI and the router being slow to respond, would you like? Is that a reset? Do you just need to reset your router and then attempt?
It really depends, and
on
also
how long
which
it's been
router
on.
you're talking about. If you're looking at the pro gaming line of routers, yeah, the GUI there is a little bit slower than the higher end straight Nighthawk routers because it's trying to show you a lot more.
Yeah, this is a R7000.
Yep, but normally, a reset also because, you know, sometimes you end up where not everything in memory is being cleaned out every time the router tries to do something, and it could actually end up squeezing it so it's getting less memory, and doing a reset clears out the memory. Normally, you shouldn't have to do that, but hey, it never hurts.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then another thing I would suggest is because the GUI is run off of your router, bear in mind that components typically function better if they're cooler. So it could be getting a little too hot. It's slowing down your system. So, you know, make sure it's in a well aerated space, you know, not kind of in like a closed off closet or bookshelf. You know, try to have it out on like a table or on top of something. Could help with speeds. Probably not going to be significant, but definitely worth a shot.
Yep. And also depends on what you're doing through the router. Most of the time, it shouldn't actually affect you getting to the GUI and how quickly the pages are changing. But if you're running, say, a BitTorrent and downloading a bunch of stuff, and you've got your BitTorrent wide open, and you've got, say, a gig line up to the internet, that probably would be eating up most of the processing power in your router. So it's going to take longer for pages to show up. There's a lot of variables that can actually affect how quickly your router's responding to things.
Yeah.
Totally.
And then
Go ahead.
Oh, I just want to say, yeah, I want to hear those questions. So keep resting, keep doing what you do in order to stay safe. But yeah, we definitely want to hear your questions for the 1000 when it shows up.
Yeah, and I was going to mention for Tiptoe that one of our friends actually did a deep dive into the settings of the XR1000 and posted a video about it. He's one of our favorite YouTubers. His name's Tech HD. So if you do want to go check out Tech HD's video, we can actually drop in the chat as well.
Yeah, let's drop that into the chat because that was a great.
Yeah.
Christian did an amazing video on it, and let's see.
Yeah,
his YouTube channel.
Yeah, right. Vanessa, thanks for the kudos on us being the most informative show you found. We definitely like doing it, and we appreciate everyone coming back each week to listen to us.
Yeah, and we always love having Vanessa back in the chat. She's one of our #1 fans, so it's always good to see Vanessa. Give me just a second. I'll grab you this link here. There you go. That should be it. Let me double check. Yep. Okay. Here you go.
Yeah. So he goes into setting it up, his settings, gameplay test, and some suggestions for us.
Yeah, he always goes very in depth, and I think Tiptoe Turtle. If you're getting a new router from us, definitely check out his video. He does a better job than we do explaining it.
Yeah, his XR500 is, I kid you not, it's like 45 minutes in depth, and it's fantastic.
Totally. All right, let's see. Looks like Pika Gaming has an R7000P with the latest firmware.
I've been comparing it to the D-Link user interface. Yeah, I haven't seen the D-Link user interface in years, so I don't know what enhancements they've made to it. But it is possible that they've tweaked their interface to, be a little bit faster, put a little bit more resources towards it whenever you're trying to call it up. But the R7000P is a slightly upgraded model of the R7000, which I used for years. And I personally didn't find the interface being that slow. It could take a couple of seconds when I'm jumping between particular pages, but it wasn't anything that was really that noticeable or bothersome. If you're noticing it taking 10, 15 seconds to load a page, then that's definitely a problem, and you shouldn't be seeing that on the R7000P.
Yeah, definitely. And like we mentioned, unless you're going in depth and doing stuff like port forwarding, we always suggest, and this isn't the first time we've suggested this on the show, use the mobile app. We put a lot of resources towards that because we want our products to be easy to interact with. And it's much easier to interact with your products via your phone, via an app, versus going into this, online GUI. You gotta turn on your laptop, punch in the URL. It's just easy to use your phone.
It is easier to use it. Some advanced features you're definitely going to want to continue to use the GUI. Let's be honest, we could probably get a little bit better on our user interfaces, but good news is we've done some internal hiring, and our software department is really you're going to probably see some big changes.
Really on the up and up. We as a company are very focused on software as of late, and you're going to start seeing that more. But I'd say primarily on mobile. So download the Nighthawk app. It's way better, trust me.
Well, that's what most people are using, is they're using their mobile devices. I personally am a hardcore PC person, so I like the GUI interfaces, like a real keyboard. But I understand that most people want to access things wherever they're at, from their phone, if they're sitting on the couch, out at a coffee shop, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, we got some new people in the chat. Explanatory Live. Never had you on the show before. Welcome to the chat. And then we have a question from Tiptoe Turtle again. Didn't you guys recommend updating your network router every 2 years and the network modem every 4 years?
Yes, we did actually do that.
And that was
that was more of a ballpark idea. Obviously,
Yeah.
if technology isn't changing that much and you've got a good solid router, for instance, then you probably don't need to update it every couple of years. But there are definitely times, especially over, say, the last 3 or 4 years, where technology has been moving pretty fast in the router market. So upgrading every 2 years, yeah, it makes a lot of sense because you would be getting a much faster, more robust router. And now with Wi-Fi 6 with the new technology. It really depends, but that's just a ballpark idea because hardware does get old. And if you actually even have a router that lasts, 2 years, then that's, doing good, pretty average. If you have a router that lasts 4 years, that's doing great.
Yeah, I would actually put a little bit of a spin on that. I think that you get more lifespan out of more premium routers. I definitely feel that it's you get what you pay for. If you're in the sub $100 market, you're probably definitely going to change every year and a half to 2 years.
Or just upgrade to a slightly more expensive router that'll last a little longer.
Exactly.
If you buy a low-end router and you replace it with a low-end router, you're probably not going to get much more from it because it is a low-end router.
Correct. Totally. I think that if you like a little bit more of the premium, anywhere above 200, 250, you're gonna start seeing a little bit more lifespan out of it. You can probably squeeze 3 years out of one of those routers.
Yeah, you really do get what you pay for.
My XR 500 lasted 2.5 years, and the only reason I replaced it is because of the XR 1000. If my XR 1000 had not, if let's say that it never existed, I would still probably be using my XR 500 because it's a pretty solid piece of machinery.
And I'm still using my R9000 that I've probably had for 3.5, 4 years at this point. And it's still, running the entire household. It's going to be my backup once the XR 1000 replaces it. But yeah, if you've got a good piece of hardware that's doing everything that you need, hang on to it as long as you, want. Or as Vanessa says, backups are always a good thing. So you take that off, get a newer one, and keep that as a backup in case something happens.
Totally.
Yeah. So
we did have a lot of questions just come in.
Yeah.
And I do want to answer them. Just a heads up. I don't know if everybody here on the call with me can go over, but I'm going to go over maybe about 5-10 minutes just because we did start late.
Yeah, I could probably stick around for an extra five or so.
Cool. Okay. Well, we'll plan on doing that, but because I do want to address all the questions despite having started late. So a question that we got, and I think that this is a really good kind of general question that everybody should have an answer to, comes from Explanatory Live, and they ask, will my internet speed be the same if I, 1, replace my ISP router with a NETGEAR router, or 2, use my ISP router but connect a NETGEAR router to it? Does it make a difference? Well, I think maybe let's start with that 2. If you have an ISP router and you connect a NETGEAR router to it, that's not quite the system that you want to be working with. You want to be connecting your router to your modem. So if you have an ISP modem or an ISP gateway, which is kind of like a combo, you will likely see a pretty big boost in performance replacing the router component with a NETGEAR router. I would suggest having the whole system be NETGEAR, have a NETGEAR modem and router. Yeah, what were you going to say, Ben?
I would suggest the same. Yeah. Like replacing your ISP modem or gateway. One, you're not going to get dinged for between $12 and $14 a month. And then 2, you're going to see better performance out of our modems than like the standard, because we put out modems all the time. On the ISP, they put out modems when it's convenient.
And most of the time, the modems that they're putting out actually are third-party modems that have been rebranded, and they're buying the lower-end modems to give to their customers. So
and they're old.
And they're old.
Let's
so
be honest.
When you ask about will your internet speed be faster, obviously it depends on what sort of a router that you're using connected to your modem. If you're using a really low-end router, say an N150, really old router, that's probably going to be your limiting factor. But normally, the bottleneck's going to be your modem. And so if you upgrade your modem from what your ISP gives you to a better NETGEAR modem, you'll probably get better speeds. And Ben can definitely attest to this as well as I have, where I swapped out my ISP modem for a NETGEAR one, and my plan gives me 150 meg down, and the modem that I put in is currently giving me about 178. So I'm actually even getting more than what my plan says.
And
so
that's a common
putting in a
thread.
better modem does make a difference.
Yeah, that's a really common thing. Like I had the same experience, right? When I switched from my ISP hardware to NETGEAR hardware, I actually get more than what I pay for. I recently tested it, and I'm on an XR1000, which is not a Wi-Fi 6 router. It's our middle tier NETGEAR not for gaming router. I get 220 megabytes per second, and I pay for 200. So really common thread to hear that occurring, that bonus speed.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm getting 91 and I pay for 600.
There you go.
Yep.
It's really good to hear that kind of stuff.
You'll see a little bit of performance boost, and I would say starting with like getting a NETGEAR router, you're going to see a performance boost over the gateway, and then replacing that gateway with our modem, you're going to see a even more of a performance boost over that.
Yep. Also, with the modem that you have from your ISP, depending on what modem level it supports, like DOCSIS 3.0, DOCSIS 3.1, if you happen to replace it with a higher DOCSIS level, like if it was less than a DOCSIS 3.0 modem and you put in a DOCSIS 3.0, you're probably going to see faster speeds. Or if your ISP happens to upgrade from say 3.0 to 3.1 in the future, and you have a 3.1 modem, DOCSIS modem, then you'll automatically get those upgrade speeds. I ran through that with our Comcast because of the mountains that we live in. We're always at the tail end of their upgrade cycle. And they finally upgraded everything and then just sent out a notice to us telling us, just reboot your modem and you're going to get the faster speed. And so we didn't have to do anything. We already had a higher end modem in there, rebooted it, and suddenly it jumped up dramatically.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think you boil it all down. It's best to have your own equipment for cost savings and for quality and for speed. So that being said, let's knock out these final questions here.
I got a question from Bond James.
Yep.
Answer actually. How do you DM me? You follow me on Twitter at ZarduBen.
There you go. If you need a spelling, let us know, but you should be able to find them. Cool. Okay. Kevin says that he has an MK63 and he loves it. Well, that's awesome.
Excellent.
We love that that product, so I'm glad you are enjoying it. Okay, question from Hamad. Is it a good idea to put a Wi-Fi card or a USB dongle in a PC? Definitely a Wi-Fi card.
Well, actually, it depends on what you want. If you're trying to get any sort of a wired connection in the PC and you don't actually have a solid Ethernet port in there, then yeah, USB dongle to Ethernet is the way to go.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm assuming the PC would be a standalone PC and not a laptop, because all laptops come with Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi inside a piece in a standalone PC only really works well if you have a antenna, a USB antenna that plugs into that, so that it can come out from behind the PC, because most standalone PCs, their cases are metal. And if you're shoving a Wi-Fi card inside that, then the only place that you're really going to get good signal is coming out the back of the PC, which is usually aimed at a wall. And I actually have one of those here. In fact, I think I can show you if it's long enough. You're right there. That's what I've got, which is the Wi-Fi in my standalone PC. And that's the only time that I would put it in a standalone PC, is as long as you've got something like that, because they're always shoved in a back corner someplace where a Wi-Fi signal in there is going to be pretty poor.
Yeah, in my PC, well, I actually just got rid of it yesterday, but in my PC, I had this, it was almost like a PCIe Wi-Fi card, and then it had ports on it where you could screw in an antenna and then put the antenna on top of the PC. I think that's ideal.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want.
Yeah.
You have to get the antennas out from behind the PC.
Yep. Cool. And then another question from Hamad. is a suggestion on to go to router and gateway. Well, if you have a router, or if you have a gateway, you don't need a router because a gateway typically has by kind of definition, it has a router and a modem built in. So I think your question is more, what's a good router and modem? And I would suggest, I mean, really, um, for the router, I would suggest any Wi-Fi 6 router within your budget. NETGEAR is constantly expanding our Wi-Fi 6 portfolio, filling in the gaps, the price gaps. Um, if you're a gamer, I would suggest the XR1000. And then for a modem, I would say anything DOCSIS 3.1. And you can see in the features on our website which ones are DOCSIS 3.1. Anything in your budget
Yeah, I think
that's a
anything
DOCSIS 3.1.
11 CM
CM 1100 or better.
Yeah, actually, I think CM 1000 or better.
Nope, that's DOCSIS 3.0. That's the cutoff point. Yep.
Bond James asks, I wonder why Xbox didn't decide to go with Wi-Fi X. Didn't companies believe in the Wi-Fi X standard? Well, that's what we thought.
I'm still boggled.
We are truly boggled. It really doesn't make sense. They really should have put Wi-Fi 6 on it for $600. No Wi-Fi 6.
Well, yeah, and the Wi-Fi 6 chips are going to be more expensive, but if you're spending $600 on a device, if you have to spend another 50 cents on the chip, it's well worth putting in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it really, really disappointing to see that was on the chopping block for the cost savings. Was Wi-Fi 5. I mean, it's 2020. We're almost in 2021. You know, like the iPhone 11 was really the first big device to have Wi-Fi 6. And that was what, almost 2 years ago. Yeah, kind of insane.
Yeah.
It's funny, but I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you were in the chat, Bond James, but we always complain about the PS4 having horrible Wi-Fi, and now the PS5 has Wi-Fi 6, and the Xbox does not. Kind of flip the story a little bit.
It totally flipped the script on that.
Yeah, Darren, I was going to say, Darren, if you actually have both of those in your home, then definitely you should pair the Wi-Fi speeds on both of them, because obviously implementation does make a difference. And if they cheaped out on their implementation on the Wi-Fi 6, you possibly may not see better performance than the Wi-Fi 5 on the Xbox. I'm guessing you will.
True.
But it's worth testing both. If none of the rest of us have both of them in the same household, so that's your project.
Yeah. We should have Darren do a little YouTube video for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of, did you get Cold War?
No, I'm waiting on the Warzone implementations of Cold War, if I'll have to buy it or not. I'm not really looking to playing the multiplayer.
Yeah, I made the mistake of buying it. But I will say I'm excited for zombies. I'm not excited for anything else.
Just for all of our
Who isn't
viewers,
excited for zombies?
Just a heads up, we are over right now, and we'll answer a couple more questions. If you have any last minute questions, please ask them. But if there's no more, we're going to close out pretty soon. So get those last questions in.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for being able to find us today. Thanks for bearing with our technical difficulties. We'll be back to regular scheduled programming. Well, I don't know. Like
next week we will. The following week will be Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Next week we will be back with a normal stream.
So everyone be here next week, because you'll have to have a week off after that from us. And I know you like to see us every week.
Yes, we like to see you guys. It's nice to be back, but Vaughn, continue to rant, please.
Yes.
Can I go
in game as an armed zombie?
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving from the UK. Well, thanks for tuning in from the UK.
Thank you.
I don't know what time it is there, but I hope you're not staying up too late.
I know that Thanksgiving is a little early there than us. So.
I'm pretty excited for Thanksgiving. I've never really made a turkey myself. I'm
take pictures. Show us.
I'm still in the youngest generation of my family. Nobody from my family tier has had kids yet, so I'm still like the kid in the family. So I've never had to make a turkey, but I think I'm gonna do it this year. Give it a shot. Why not? I've got a Dutch oven. Maybe I'll deep fry it.
Oh no! You don't want to deep fry that.
Careful, they can explode.
Walked down that road once before.
So you put it in frozen, right, Ben?
Oh yeah,
Yes,
that's the way to do it.
frozen
Definitely.
and preferably on a gas stove in your house.
Yeah, with the with the flame all the way up.
Flame all the way up. Turn the hood off. Just.
Christine says, "Don't do that."
No.
No frozen turkey.
So let's end this stream with side dish. What is your Thanksgiving side dish of choice? We'll start with you, Alex.
Just before we do that, quick disclaimer: that was a joke. Do
Good.
not
Good to know.
deep fry a
do not
frozen
ever do that.
turkey. I think Christine got
we
a
are
little worried.
untrained professional. We're untrained professionals, and that would be like a disaster for you to follow.
Don't
follow our
ever
advice
deep fry
on
anything frozen.
Do not follow our advice on turkey frying.
Absolutely. Vanessa Kitty says you can smoke a turkey. I actually had a smoked turkey
Yeah,
last
but
year.
how do you get a pipe big enough?
How do you get a pipe big enough? Oh my god!
right.
I it's one thing I miss is my smoker. Now I have PTSD.
But yeah, we'll open the question of the chat. What's your favorite side dish for Thanksgiving? For me, I'm between two. Mac and cheese is my all-time favorite food, and that is oftentimes a side dish for Thanksgiving. So that's probably mine.
It's only a side dish in California.
Yeah.
I had it in
I'm,
Arizona all the time. What are you talking about?
Really? It's a strange dish.
I saw a map of like favorite side dishes for Thanksgiving, and
Oh,
California
really?
is the only one that has mac and cheese because it's only a California thing apparently.
Really?
That's so weird.
Yeah, mine's
me-
double stuffed potatoes.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Scalloped
basically you
potatoes
bake
are
the
good too.
potato, pull the insides out, whip it up with some butter, maybe a little bit of cream, salt and stuff, put it back in the potato, bake it again. Good
Ooh,
stuff.
That sounds good.
I'm surprised nobody has said 3-bean salad, which is pretty good.
No, that's not a California thing. I don't care what they say.
Yeah. I will say that I like cranberries as a side because cranberries will fix dry turkey or dry ham. It'll fix anything.
Yes, it will.
But I like the cranberry sauce, not the
cranberry gel.
Cranberry gel that comes out of the can.
Good. I was going to ask you which one.
Yeah, though for presentation, I do like it out of the can. There's something about it that feels very.
I was just gonna say, it's one of my Thanksgiving guilty pleasures. I love the canned cranberry sauce. It's good.
Yeah, but I will prefer the other one where it's like orange. A little bit of orange in there, and
Totally.
Yeah, it's super good.
Totally agree.
But
How
I
about you,
like
Darren?
that.
I'm going with a Midwest side dish of homemade egg noodles.
Oh, okay.
I've never tried that. That sounds really good, though.
That's a good one.
Yeah, you make like a chicken type gravy with homemade egg noodles, and you put it over your mashed potatoes. And it's
nice.
Well, that sounds really nice.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And not a side dish, but something I look forward to every year. Right after Halloween ends, it starts showing up in the stores. Eggnog.
Oh my God,
eggnog
is so underrated. I love eggnog.
Yep. And you put a little brandy in it, it gets even better.
See, well, everything's a little better.
That's true.
Michael knows everything about the holidays and routers.
Hey, you got to eat something while you're working on the router.
There is no question that Michael does not know.
I do know that spam meat with gravy only if you fry the spam a lot first. Otherwise, no.
Yeah.
Here's Bond's comment.
Spam has to be fried within an inch of its life.
Exactly.
All right. Well,
thanks everybody for joining.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks everybody for joining. I don't think we had any other questions. So, apologies if you had one coming up. Please join us next week. We will be back on time, on the right link. We'll have Angela back to take care of everything for us because myself and Christine, we've never done it before, so it was a bit of a learning curve. But thanks for tuning in.
We were here.
Yeah, we made it. So thanks for tuning in.
We got through it. So thanks everyone. Have a great weekend.
See everyone later. Take care.
Bye everyone.